Okay, we're off and running, so hopefully I will show you my recipe for white bread, with everyone being stuck in and bread not being as easy to buy anymore. Probably more of us are thinking how to make our own, and I've seen a lot of recipes, and none of them are my recipe. I think a lot of the time we have too many ingredients, much more than we need, or in some cases that is good for us, especially salt. I don't use a lot of salt in cooking at all. If possible, I leave it out completely. It just doesn't do our kidneys any good, and the older you get, the more you come to realise that, especially me. Anyway, also there won't be any sugar in this recipe either. Not that there has to be. First of all, I am adding 2 teaspoons of dried yeast. Just a little bit more there because it wasn't quite as level as I would like. Any sort of little sachets that they come in, the dried yeast, if you can get those. It's a fast action one, so that's it in the bowl. I'll try and position this now so we can see what it is I'm doing rather than me at the moment. Hopefully that is... You're going to have to bear with me, I'm afraid. It's very hard when I'm trying to do everything. Right. Okay, so now I'm adding the bread flour to the yeast. I mean, you want about 8 ounces to the 2 teaspoons for this recipe. I'm afraid I haven't quite got enough there, so I'm having to use a bit of brown wholemeal flour as well. But hopefully you'll be able to get completely bread flour. Just the white one. But if you want a brown bread, you can go half and half, or completely wholemeal. It's your choice. Okay, so I'm just mixing that together with my hands a little, and now here I have up to 300 millilitres of lukewarm water, which I will add. Just start stirring it with a knife. Don't add it all at once, just a little at a time. You'll soon tell if you need some more. So it's all coming away from the bowl now. I'm afraid I haven't weighed it because I'm actually packed up, ready to move. So everything's a bit limited here as to utensils and everything that I've got to do the job. But and anyway, you know, I didn't sell the house in the current circumstances we find ourselves in. That's it. Okay. Right, so yours won't look this colour because, as I said, I'm having to use brown flour now. The wholemeal. I'm just adding a bit more now, which you should do anyway. I mean, you can add up to half a cup just in the bowl, or on straight onto the board if you prefer to work it there. But I'm just adding some more to now knead it. Now, as you can see, it's sticking to my hands, so I haven't actually put the half a cup because I forgot to measure that out. Never mind. Excuse the accompaniment of my dogs in the background. Okay. I've never done all this before, so to a camera. So if I'm waffling a bit, I'm not surprised. Okay, so that's fine now. I like to just knead it in the bowl. I find it's less messy than getting it out. And all I'm really doing is just pushing it around, pushing it about. That's all the kneading is. Pushing it down, lifting out the bowl, pushing it down again. Just until you've worked the yeast in everywhere and trying to make it more pliable. You're trying to get that air through. I mean, just carry on going like that for about another. Well, you'll know. You'll know. I mean, this is it shouldn't be too sticky, so I don't want to add any more because this is the brown flour is a bit harder, so it's to keep it lightweight. I'd rather have it a bit sticky than I would keep adding more. Half the cup of flour is definitely the most you'd need to add to sort of get to the smooth stage. Just going to work it just a little bit more. And then that would go to one side, somewhere where it's warm, top of an oven that's been on a very low heat and then switched off will do, or on a window ledge if it's warm, or airing cupboard if you have an airing cupboard. Okay, so, and you cover it with oiled cling film, ideally. Okay, so I'm going to put that aside now. And one I prepared earlier, as they say, in the best. So this is the one I prepared earlier, and this is the proper white bread flour. So my oiled cling film comes off, and there it is. So it's all nicely bubbled up, ready to go now. So I also have here a ready to go baking tray. But you can use a tin or a baking tray. All I'm trying to do now is get it out. There we go. I'm just going to keep a little bit back, so this probably won't come out a huge size, because I want to show you something else as well that you can do with this. Right. As you can see, it's very sticky once it's doubled in size. I mean, just leave it a few hours. You'll know when it's much bigger. Right, just going to try and shape this a bit now. aside. Wash my hands again. Okay. Right, one dough mix ready to go in. Just going to try and put it in a bit. I'm just making one round loaf, so before it goes in we'll just score it. You all probably have a better knife than me because this is not working at all. Okay, forget that. It's coming out a disaster. Right, so 20 minutes to half an hour, 220 in the oven, and I'm sorry it's not scored, but I haven't got a sharp knife. As I said, I'm working on a very limited utensils and bowls and everything at the moment. But while that is in cooking, I want to show you what you can do with this mix as well as the bread. So this is a new recipe, completely something aside. As long as you've got your dough doubled. Now sometimes this is for yum yums. Now sometimes they generally say that yum yums should be like lots of layered bread, a mix like that. But I find this works just as well and is so simple and exactly the same mix. The only difference is that you can add just a touch of, sorry about this, you can add a touch of sugar to this now. So this is just a little bit, just to show you. I'm hoping you can see that. Can you see it? Yes, right, okay. So just a little bit from the sugar shaker. We'll get that on now. Okay, so I'm just heating the fat up. I'm just going to take a little bit of dough off of the mix, just drop a ball of it into the fat. So when we hear that sizzling, it'll be good to go. I've added some sugar now to the dough, and we're going to make yum yums. So yes, there's no like having to lever it and leaven the bread mix, so it would all have the layers. Don't worry about that, because I generally think the things that we buy in the supermarket is this a lot of the time, and it's much quicker, and you're not waiting about for it. So I should have tied my hair back too. Very awkward. I'm sure someone will say something about that. Right, while I'm waiting for the dough, I can just go wash my hands again. again. Not ready yet. Obviously I've only kept a bit of the mixture back to just show this as well. You don't have to do that, you can use the whole mix or for the yum-yums instead, or use it for the bread, whatever. Just trying to give you an example of what else you can do with it. I do just think that sometimes recipes are much more complicated than they need to be, with many more ingredients than most of us have at our disposal, or that we really want in there anyway. As for the bread not having the salt, again, sometimes that's just to give flavour and act as a bit of a preservative. Most butters or spreads these days, unless you specifically ask for unsalted anyway, will have a degree of salt in them. So the minute you put a spread on it, you've got your flavour of that back. So to me, it's not necessary to add it, and we very rarely eat bread completely dry. Okay, it's just risen to the surface now, so I'm going to add one little ball, if it'll let go of my hand. I haven't got any more flour to add to it. Otherwise, I would be putting flour on my hands at this stage but as I haven't got it, I can't. So I'm afraid you'll have to bear with me. Get another one. Assuming you will have that, you'll get a better shape to it. If you didn't have the flour, you wouldn't be making it. Right, so I'm just leaving them in to cook one side for a moment. I'll wash my hands. I'll bring the camera over now, just to show you.